Okay, ready?
Nope.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. My name's DJ Hi Kevin. It is just at the end of the first week of 2024, and I didn't really get a chance to kind of report back on everything. And then I started thinking, and I realized that my opinion is pretty moot compared to what other people's opinions can be. And I always like to have a little third party, verification, a nice little side opinion, something else to really contribute to the whole image of what we did this year. I tend to say we a lot when it comes to the gear that we're using, when it comes to the venue that we're going to, when it comes to the party that we threw. And when I say we, more often than not, I'm talking about my very special guest here today. We have Teddi Price, my fiancee, my better half. Looking good, Teddi. How you feeling?
I'm nervous.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What are you nervous about?
I'm not a big video person, which is probably clear in most of your videos. I tried to avoid them. Not a big microphone person, so even though we sit in these exact spots every day and talk, there is a microphone here, so it's a little nerve-wracking.
Okay. Well, I think you appear way more comfortable than you actually are, which is good. And is something to be said about what DJs just do in general, which is sort of just like fake it until we make it. And then all of a sudden we've kind of like made it without even realizing it. Comfortability is like, I don't know if you've seen the video that I made about always trying to film everything that you do. I think it's an important way to, number one, just practice everything. To practice speaking, to just practice your mannerisms, to practice your flow of speech, but also a chance to like hear yourself back talking, which is probably the cringiest part of video altogether because you hate the way your own voice sounds. But now at this point, just from vlogging for under 6 months, I think the first real one that we did might have been in August at Mendenhall Inn. That was like the first big one. Remember, I was shooting the video and I was like, "Hey, should we vlog today?"
Yeah.
And you were like, "Yep." And then I dropped shit out of the back of the car.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes,
that was good.
that
Go back and look at that one.
That was a good
That
one.
one, that's probably the best one we've had. And the couple is still sharing it all the time. They actually, I don't know if you saw, they put it in their like 2023 recap.
Oh, really?
They put like the video on YouTube and they loved that I used the verbiage calm to crazy, which it was awesome. But anyway, so we're here to talk a little bit. Just number one, I wanted to introduce you to the channel because I realize I've shown you a lot, but we've never really spoken on here. And also just to kind of recap the whole year. So what do you say? You want to dive into it?
Yeah.
You got your notes ready?
I got my notes.
Okay, cool. Don't make fun of her if she looks at her notes because I'm going to be looking at my notes too. Just mine are like within eye distance.
They're
so.
not like paragraphs or anything.
No, it's
notes
like bullet points, right?
I'm bad at remembering like specific venues and things that I want to talk about. So
Smart. It's good. You come prepared. Right?
Especially if I'm in front of a camera, forget it.
Oh, God.
Gone.
I'm telling you, man.
Or on the spot questions. It's like
sometimes.
a big, there it goes.
Well, I'll try not to surprise you too much, but I like follow-up questions, and we want to keep this a little bit off the cuff at the same time. So why don't we start where it began and give us a little bit of your backstory. You don't need to tell us what hospital you were born in, but if you could... If you could just introduce us to your DJ life, please.
So I have been a medical assistant for the last, going on 8 years now at Martin Foot and Ankle. So that's where I have been working. I went to school for it. And then one day I just kind of decided I wanted to do a part-time job. So I saw a posting for Clock Entertainment. They were hiring for just like photo booth techs, which was what I applied for. So I did that and then went into the office, had my interview. Of course, I met this lovely human being right here, but I kind of ignored him. So it's okay.
Bro, she ignored me so hard.
I was focused on the interview. I was nervous.
I could not have said you were nervous by any means.
But anyway, so I went in for that. I ended up, I went and shadowed like a wedding with Jason. Got to see him like mix and stuff. Was just there for a couple hours. They hired me. One of my first events, I actually worked with Kevin. He
Your
was,
first event.
yeah, my very first
Very
event.
first event.
Very first event. And I was actually not there as photo booth tech. I was there as a music mixer, which I didn't really have any intentions of doing. So I was kind of like walking in the door, like, oh, I have no idea what I'm about to do or expect. And then we kind of had some other issues with the photo booth in general that a bunch of us were trying to work out. So it was a very interesting first day on the job. And then me and Kevin never really got to talk about the fact that I've never touched a DJ board before or anything. So we're like getting ready to do intros probably like 10 minutes before. And he's just like, this is what we're going to do. And I'm like, yeah, okay. I've never done this before. So here we go.
Yeah. Imagine 10 minutes before you start introductions, you find out that the person has never done it before. I was the trainer at the time. We just didn't have a chance to meet up. But I think we like just glanced over everything pretty quickly because I was like, okay, so you want to practice then?
Yeah, I mean, they were pretty simple introductions. They didn't have like a song for each person because that probably would have been not a good thing the
Right.
first time. But I mean, they were pretty simple overall. But I mean, that was actually like a really great wedding.
It was a really good wedding.
Yeah.
Remember where it was?
That was at was that at the Friendship Hall?
Yep, Purcell Friendship. I think it was Sarah Brodish. I remember that was the bride's name at least.
Sounds right.
This was like 2019. So asking a lot. 5 years.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
I don't
right?
think I've even realized that.
Did not even realize it.
So yeah, it started with that, and then kind of after that, I was just like, well, that wasn't too bad. So then I just kind of did photo booth and music mixing. So I would kind of just get put on with, different DJs and stuff and go out and get to experience different production and different venues and setting things up. And then COVID kind of happened, and
You were already dating.
yeah, at this point we were already dating. Kind of had nothing better to do. And I loved watching you DJ all the time and always thought it would be something I would be interested in. My dad is a sound engineer, so I've always been involved in music. My mom is a singer in bands, and she has also done some DJing as well. So it was definitely something I was like, I'd really love to learn this. I have no idea how to even start that. So over COVID, I was like, I want to learn how to DJ, and we kind of just started the basics of it with. I think we pretty much just started with like beat matching was the biggest thing. You were like, if you can match two songs together, we'll start there. And
I think so if I started you off, then I would have said, and this is kind of important. I think this is pretty cool. For any DJ starting off, the best way to start learning to beat match is to just use one song and beat match it into itself. Right? That was a fun way to start.
On a little
DJ to go.
Yes.
Yeah. DJ to go 2. The non-touch version. Yeah, I specifically remember like you didn't want to DJ in front of me ever. So you were only using headphones.
Yeah.
And one time you did play it out loud, and I came running out of the shower because you nailed your first like perfect phrased beat match.
Yeah, it was all cried out and call me maybe.
You remember that? Wow.
I do, because I was proud of myself. And
you fucking should be. I mean, I remember what I did. I think it was Children's Story into Getting Jiggy With It or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I would always, because at the time we didn't, like I would go with different DJs and stuff. So I wasn't always Kevin's assistant. It was, whoever was put on with the DJ. So a lot of times I would just wait till he was out of the apartment, and I would just go over and do it while he wasn't there, and just kind of like mess around and figure some things out. And I just, we kept asking questions, and then you started the whole Twitch thing.
Yeah, this was all pre-Twitch.
Yeah, this was all pre-Twitch, and then you started the Twitch thing because that started becoming a big thing at the apartment.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I never did Twitch.
You never Twitched.
No. So then eventually we moved, and then it was literally just a random one night purge of alcohol, and I was just like, screw it, I'm gonna get on Twitch because, at that point, Kevin had already had a following and everybody was like asking whenever I was going to get on. And I was like, no, yeah, okay, sure, yeah, gonna happen. And then one night we were just having a couple drinks and I was like, all right, let's do this. And I ended up DJing on Twitch for like 5 hours.
Yeah.
And yeah, and then I ended up doing that like once or twice a week. We kind of both were rushing for the space to DJ, and then I got affiliated, and then I got to be on some like awesome raid trains and stuff, which was like super exciting.
With my bro DJ Chris Cut.
Yes. Oh yes. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. And then like I was on DJ Pre's raid train, and there's a couple other ones I was on too. I can't even remember now, but
Yeah. It's some bad luck on Twitch
I
for a
always
while
had
there.
very bad technology issues, so that kind of I think really started to like turn me off to it. It was like only when I wanted to get
Yeah.
on too. So it was kind of frustrating. But I mean, I liked it a lot, and it definitely helped me a lot with my just confidence. And I think even then, going back into events, it helped me because we were in front of a camera, and then multitasking had to happen with DJing and talking to the chat. And if you were here, I was talking with you. Sometimes we would have friends here and I had to talk to them while trying to DJ, while trying to talk to the chat. So there was always like a lot going on and it was a great time. But I think that helps then when we got to events to be able to like just even be able to talk with vendors more and be more social. And, while we are working, if somebody needs to come talk to us, and made it a little easier to be like, oh, okay, yeah, like let me just keep recording while I'm talking to you. That's fine. But yeah, so yeah, but that's kind of how it all started. And then you started working with SCE and asked me to be your right hand person. And here we are. Now we have a
Wife,
team.
but whatever.
Oh, what? But yeah, I was honored, and we had a talk for all of you out there who don't think that couples can work together. I mean, it definitely takes a special kind of person because I feel like that's one of the biggest things that we get are like, I don't understand how you guys work together all the time. But we kind of are very two different people, and we know like we got to start that way in our relationship too, so that was helpful.
Before we were in like
Yeah.
a romantic relationship, we were working together, so there was a clear distinction between work life and like social life, and I think that was a huge step for us because you're right. A lot of people have, like even I've had people offer like, hey, if you don't want to work with your fiance, then we can get somebody else on that for you. And it's like, no, that's exactly who I want there.
Yeah.
And it's I don't think we've ever like butted heads while working.
I wouldn't say so. I mean, I think we both though are very good at like when I mean, I especially like I knew that going in. Like I'm a very big when I go to work, I'm at work. Even like I have friends that I work with. I used to be a lead in my office, and those friendships outside of work were completely different than they were inside of work. I just have that very fine line. Like we're at work, I'm like big on, we're a team, but don't touch me, don't bother me. Like I'm working. So I think that we kind of can create that. If something happens, I feel like we balance each other out really well. Like if you get frustrated at something or if something goes wrong, a lot of times, obviously you're getting frustrated and I'm kind of on the side, just like, it's all good. Like, and I just kind of start shooting out things like, oh, well, could we try this or could we try that? Cause I feel like that's kind of the biggest point of having an assistant is to, have ideas to bounce off of each other. Otherwise you're just standing there staring at the main person and they're just having a mind blowing time. And you're like, okay, well, good luck.
Yeah. No, I definitely seeing other people's relationships with their assistants. Obviously, it's probably a lot less romantic. Hopefully, I don't know.
You never know.
You never know. Yeah, but like you are so eager to run lights when we have them. When we don't, you're shooting video constantly, like almost so much video that it's almost to a fault, but it's not.
Yeah.
That if you shoot video or edit video, the more you have, the better. But between those and then you were also, for a short while there, you were assisting with wedding planning and you helped, like you led a wedding planning as well. So you have that side of things that's super helpful to just, how things are supposed to happen.
Yeah.
which, obviously you can't make somebody eager to help a DJ, but you can definitely find people that are eager to help any way they can, which I think is one of your best attributes, is that you just don't like to sit still. You're not about having idle hands. You're not going to go and just drag a chair and sit in the corner on your phone or anything like that.
Yeah.
Um, but also you assist me with requests, like you listen to the way that I speak to people, and then you just mimic that, which I think if you are if you are your own host DJ and you go to assist somebody else, I think sometimes you can carry your own beliefs into their party, which is difficult to turn off, but also not possibly appreciated, you know? Um, but okay, cool. So I think that kind of wraps that stuff up. You've obviously continued to get better and everything. You are going to be recording a mix sometime this spring that you want to put out. But in regards to like music that you do enjoy mixing, or moments that you enjoy mixing, or styles that you enjoy mixing, like what is your favorite? Like what do you really lean to?
So I definitely lean more towards that like dance house remixes. I'm actually in the process of going through all of my Serato right now and just putting, making sure all my years are in and all my genres are in. And I'm learning that basically my entire Serato is just house and dance, like electro music. Pretty much everyone I've put in it. But then I kind of, you made a comment to me about how I should look into doing like R&B because I seem to know like a lot of R&B. So I started looking into that a little bit more and was like, well, I mean, I do. I just never really thought about mixing and DJing it because I was like, that seems a little bit on the harder side, which I would say,
Harder meaning more difficult.
yeah, meaning
Yeah.
just like a little more difficult to mix in general. But I took that as a goal. So I made an entire R&B set and I performed that for Thanksgiving Eve. You were playing at Heritage Hills, so we kind of came up with. I mentioned something about opening for you, which I've done a couple times, and kind of have always like
More like covered my bathroom breaks.
backed out of them, but I've like mentioned it and then
Yeah.
I never actually like followed through. So this time we kind of like talked about it and then you kind of were just like, well, then we're doing it. It's happening. And I was like, okay, it's happening. So I sat down and actually like curated an R&B set, which I did like kind of sit through and like, plan out what I was going to do. I was obviously prepared if anybody came up to ask me for requests at that point. But I knew I was opening and I knew the place we were going to. So I didn't really expect that to happen a whole lot. But just it being my first time, I wanted to make sure that I was prepared. But I mean, I think overall it went really well. My friends got to be there and hear me, which was pretty cool. Like once I started, I was pretty comfortable. But like one of the biggest things I've been working on is like my phrasing and stuff. So that was one of the biggest things I was trying to, do and produce that day. So when we still had some things that we talked about afterwards that I want to go back and kind of, fix a little bit, but then I kind of want to make that mix and put it out and start doing some mixes and things just to put them out and get some feedback because we just have a lot of amazing DJ friends that I love their opinions and they always seem to be super excited when they actually see me doing something. So,
Hell yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. That's one reason why I'm really excited to put out this video, because I just I think people are interested in your point of view and probably rarely interested in mine. You know. All right, so you dance and R&B would be like your top two favorite genres.
Dance, R&B,
Yeah.
house are definitely my biggest genres
Cool.
that I follow through with. So
You kind of mentioned how I specifically remember you being like, I just never want to DJ in the 90 BPM range.
yes,
So you clearly went and worked on that. Not
yes.
saying you've mastered it, but you are continually working on it, just as everything else. But if there's like one or two things that you really feel like you need to focus on and improve, what would they be?
I would still say working on phrasing, but I mean, I just feel like especially switching between genres, it gets a little harder with that because of they change in each genre, like how the songs are laid out and things. So it's a little more difficult sometimes, and like for me at least. I've definitely been trying to make sure I'm like mixing in key, so that's another thing that I've been working on. I mean, I would eventually love to learn how to, like, even if it is just little baby scratches or something. Like, I would eventually love to do that. I know we kind of like started that little with like a little training session the one day with Shorty, like
Yeah.
over FaceTime, and like that was a lot of fun. But obviously, I was just
Radio
kind of like,
Shorty, Sean.
yeah,
What's up, buddy?
I was like, I kind of need to learn, more of the basics of stuff before I even consider getting into doing something like
Sure.
that. So,
But I mean, you hit a couple like up down transforms
yes,
on your night
yes,
playing out, which was kind of cool.
I do enjoy doing those now.
Yeah,
Yeah. That was the
fun.
biggest thing. I need to get away from using effects, like the like echo out effects, like to get out, because that was always my way to get out of a song. Like
Yeah.
because I wasn't phrasing. Like I just at the time when I was learning, I wasn't phrasing. I really did at the time I didn't understand. I just couldn't grasp the whole concept of it. So I was like, yeah, whatever. We're just gonna start with this, and
Yeah.
eventually I will get there where that's something I need to work
So like
on.
your beats would be matching, but then
Yeah.
you would take one song out and then there'd be like 8 beats that before the next song came in.
Yeah.
Which
So I mean, it didn't sound horrible.
it didn't sound horrible
but
at all.
it wasn't phrasing, and I'm just someone
Just tighten your shit up.
Yeah.
Keep that shit
I'm
tight.
just someone I always want to work on things and make it better, because I feel like a lot of times we are performing for other DJs, and that's even more nerve wracking than just performing for a whole a whole club of people that might not know anything about DJing, because
Right.
they're not going to know if I did something incorrectly. But
So this is an off the cuff question. You're DJing at Heritage Hills, and Nate Nelson walks in, right? DJ Demand walks in, Spinelli walks in, Santi walks in, right? And they're standing there. They're standing right at that threshold, the bar, and then there's like that threshold there. They're just standing right there, and they're just looking at you. What do you do?
continue doing what I was doing.
Fucking A right you do. Fucking A right. You continue exactly what you're doing, because we don't DJ for DJs.
Just continue doing what I'm doing. It might make me a little more nervous, but I have had the opportunity to DJ in front of Nate Nelson before, actually on his turntables, on his high turntables.
Oh my God, we just stand you on a Pelican.
And I actually even DJ'd like off of his computer, off of his Serato, so none of it was my music, and I was just doing it for fun while him and Kevin, I don't remember what you guys were doing, but
we were prepping the stream, I think.
Yeah, so I was just doing the background, and I did end up actually hopping on the stream that night, so, we were there with all the LaForce guys and stuff, so, I've had my moments where I've hopped on, and probably should be less nerve-wracking when I do go out in public, because I did get to be in front of a bunch of DJs and do that, so.
Yeah. I did want to mention something you mentioned about the effects. Icon.
Yeah.
Had mentioned something in a Discord call that we were on last week. He was commenting on Fusamania's performance at the DJ Collective, and he mentioned how old school of a transitioner he was, how little effects he used, how he wasn't even using like low pass, high pass stuff.
Oh, okay.
So I think like that is truly what, of course we all like to scratch out with a little echo or something like that, a little echo, little reverb, stuff like that. But I do think that you're absolutely right. In the simpler you keep it, it just makes you keep your shit tight, and stems have been such like kind of like a crutch as far as getting in and out of songs and not mixing in key as well. Yeah. That can kind of take a little bit of that step away. But at the
same time, stems are definitely a new age of mixing in general.
Oh my God.
Creating your
I
own.
love it.
I mean, I understand there are some people who are so against them, and that's fine. That's their own opinion. But at the same time, no one else is going to recreate what you just did. So it creates this whole opening for you can do all of these things live in front of people now that
and on the fly and surprise yourself. Yeah. Like that's the one thing about it. Just constantly catch myself being surprised at how good two songs sound together. All right, cool. So that's a ton of background on you. Now let's start our recap of the year. I should probably have stats for all that we did. So we probably did like 30 weddings-ish. Maybe even less than that.
I think we did less than that. I think probably including you assisting and stuff, you probably...
Sure. I probably had like 30 to 40 events myself. Um, but the ones that we worked together, we were probably in like the 20 to 30 range. This being our first year at SCE, we pretty much didn't start. Our first wedding was Cinco de Mayo that we worked together. I had like one in January, but there was a lot of downtime in between there. Um, but I just took a couple questions that I think will be pretty fun to talk about. And you don't need to, you know, dive super deep into this stuff, but I love to chat about them. With us sort of transitioning from PA to New Jersey, what has been like your favorite part about DJing in Pennsylvania?
In Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
I would say in
Like
Pennsylvania.
if from here on out we only did New Jersey weddings.
Yeah. What would I
And
miss like the most about it?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Probably
Probably not cocktail hour.
no, no. That's definitely going to be a favorite on the Jersey side. I would say that PA weddings are a little more like family based, like very
Homey?
homey.
Yeah.
Even like the vendors and stuff that are there and the venues in general are just they're more homey. I don't want to say they're not professional, but they don't feel as professional when
Buttoned
you
up.
walk in,
Yeah.
it's
They
just
serve food, but not White Club.
yeah, yeah. So it's just, that vibe is a little bit different. So I mean, sometimes it is nice to have those venues, sometimes it is nice to just walk into a barn and know that you're just gonna get to, relax and everything's gonna be calm and it's not gonna be some crazy like we need to be like this,
Yeah.
and this, and don't touch this, don't touch that. You're not allowed to eat this because some venues we walk into and we have all these rules. You can't come in a certain way. You can't do this. So I would say that's probably the biggest thing about PA weddings. I mean, their load-ins are definitely, I feel like, easier in Pennsylvania because normally most of it is barns, so you are just kind of pulling right up to a barn, or a lot of the venues are like out in the middle of nowhere, so you have an easy load-in. You don't have to worry about being in the city unless obviously you're going into Philly, then that's a different story. But I would say for the most part, that's kind of like the biggest things.
Cool. And then now with our experience in New Jersey, same question.
So on the flip side of that, no barns because kind of got sick of those. So it is super cool to just see different venues now and get to go in. You kind of like never know what we're gonna expect anymore. Their cocktail hours are fantastic. So I went to Jersey for that. Um, and I would say on the flip side of that again, because the places are more buttoned up, they come with more professional staff that are more trained in, the wedding industry and the food industry. So they're coming in and they literally live and breathe weddings. So you know that it's going to be a super professional day across the board. You're going to have a maitre d' probably, things like that don't happen in Pennsylvania weddings. Sometimes you don't even have wedding coordinators or planners in
Yeah.
Pennsylvania, which can be very frustrating because then you become the DJs, just become the planners, which at the end of the day we'd kind of do anyways, but you are basically, I think it was Jack that just posted a video about it saying that your DJ is the person that basically takes the timeline and is the one that announces it on the microphone and keeps it flowing. Your planner can have the timeline in their hands and help, but we're the ones that get on the microphone and actually instruct it to happen. So
Yeah.
I think that that's kind of like one of the biggest changes is having like that side of things in Jersey over Pennsylvania.
Cool. Good answer. I like that. Since we're talking about venues, what was your favorite one that we got to experience this past year?
Like a top favorite, I would say one of my favorites was one of the Crystal Tea Ballroom. I really did like that we just did.
Yeah.
Not so much a load in, but I liked
The
the
Wanamaker building, I think, in Philly.
yeah, something like that.
Something like that. Yeah.
Not so much a load in because you obviously have to deal with your loading dock and then you got to park in a parking garage.
Can you imagine if we had a trailer?
No.
I would have been backing up 100 times.
Yeah.
Go around!
It would have been terrible. But so God bless if you go there and you have a trailer, and God bless those that have trailers and deal with that, right? But yeah, that I just really liked how even just like the cocktail hour was more of like a cool modern vibe, but then you came in, to the ballroom, and it was just very like elegant. They didn't have a whole lot of decor or flowers because the place itself already creates that, and they had, their lighting there, which was
Their lighting was sick.
sick, and their dance floor was white, which was
Yeah,
cool.
vinyl
Really,
wrap.
like a vinyl wrapped white floor.
And the stage condo was too.
Yeah, so I did really like the vibe of that. And I really did like the Pocono Palms place too that we got to
Yeah.
go to in Pennsylvania. I thought
That
that
place
was
is
pretty
sick.
cool. I like the dance floor though because it was like black and white checkered. So
Yeah, so both of these venues are gig logged on this channel, so you can check them out independently. But to talk about Pocono Palms, like you see the photos of that place, and it's just such a vibe. And then the crew that we had there was also a mega vibe,
yeah.
just of having the bride and groom and then the guests. Like it was a pretty small wedding,
Yes.
and it was actually the day my grandma passed, so it was real heavy. But it was just so nice to have like genuinely sweet people that like really appreciated what we did and that were so unapologetically themselves. Starting at the ceremony where they had us play like a voice tracked poem. That was so I was like getting goosebumps just thinking about it.
They were awesome.
Yeah, they were really awesome. People can be half of what those two were, and not to not mention the Mirabellis because they are just studs in their own way and great people as well. But yeah, so shouts out to those couples. This past year, we obviously experienced a lot of new stuff, but beyond venues, what do you think was like the scariest thing that we did, or like a scary moment, or additions that we had, or anything like that?
I'd say scariest like things in general would just be because we're traveling like 2.5, 3 hours to everything. It always just kind of creates that fear in the back of our minds. Like if there is an accident, like we're gonna get stuck. So but I felt like at the flip side that helped us be extra prepared.
Sure.
Because we were just always leaving early, making sure we had everything we needed because it's not 10 minutes away to go grab it.
Right.
If we forget
God,
it.
fuck if I forget a laptop, dude. Like,
oh my gosh. Or your shoes.
oh fuck shoes. I could care less about shoes.
Again, the load-ins because we don't always know what the load-in situation is until we get there. So, again, if we did get stuck in traffic and now we might even just be 10 minutes behind and then we get there and we're like, oh my God, we have a loading dock, that could kind of create like some of that like anxiousness. But I feel like for the most part, we were always so early that we were done and set up like at least an hour before. But I would say the scariest moment was the wedding that our mixer just took a poop and wasn't working.
Yeah. I'm not going to mention the venue because it's not fair to them because it wasn't their fault.
No.
It was one of my first played out weddings using my XR mixer, and we weren't good at troubleshooting it yet. And
we didn't have a router or anything for it either.
Right, we didn't have the router yet. So actually, Eric Miner helps me out a ton with that because I mentioned something about it, I think, on my story. And yeah, so then we got the router, and we haven't had even the slightest hiccup since.
No, not at all. Knock on wood.
Knock on
wood.
wood.
That was just very. I think we ended up taking the mixer from ceremony, and
we just used.
Yeah,
we didn't because everything was in the same space, ceremony and then reception. Like flipped the room when they were out at cocktail hour, so I just ran and grabbed ceremony. We used a little 6-channel mixer instead. We had saxophone with us that day, so it was a little stressed.
So that was the other, like, it was just all these things, and like all of a sudden the mixer just wasn't connecting, wasn't working. And of course,
it's like it was showing up, but it wasn't actually holding.
Yeah, and this was one of those moments where Kevin's over here like panicking, and I'm just like, okay, well, like, what can we do? Can we run this? Can we use this? What if we just grab the mixer from the ceremony? So like, it was kind of one of those team moments where we're like, all right, we're gonna figure this out. And luckily, we had cocktail hour to figure it out because we figured out like kind of at the end of ceremony. So it was luckily mics were still working at that point. Like the microphones didn't stop working; they were still working, but we just couldn't control anything for it.
Yeah, it was more like the app that comes from Behringer, like the XR app. So we ended up getting an outside one, which was great.
Yeah,
there's a video on that somewhere on my channel too.
I would say that was probably one of the like scariest things that happened to us because again, I feel like we were so prepared for most of our stuff that we didn't really have any like hiccups or falls that happened, unless it was something out of our control. But at that point, we just learn to go with the flow. I mean, you have to.
Have to
That's just part of our job.
roll with the
So
punches. Cool. All right, let's change the attitude a little bit. What was the most exciting thing that you think we did this year, or most fun, or most memorable, or
I would definitely say again, just getting to see all the new venues, meet the new vendors, creating relationships that we didn't have before because I feel like we were getting a little comfortable here just because we started to go to the same places and we knew the same people. So it has been pretty cool to just meet new venue staff because I feel like we've met some awesome people, which are
so cool?
what make us like the venues even more than. And we've had like awesome couples this entire year.
Oh yeah,
So
right.
I feel like that doesn't always happen. But this year, like I feel like we've had some fantastic couples. They've all been great. Trying to get like a suit like anything like super exciting. I don't. They're just like different things. I think seeing like the Jersey side of stuff has just been exciting. Again, kind of back to like the difference between the PA and Jersey weddings. You know, we do more like of the dance sets for like Jersey weddings, like
Like
for
pre-dinner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that's pretty cool. I always enjoy just kind of like watching you like create that hat like during that moment. So it's fun to like see how that plays out. And then, you know, we've had some flops kind of like you and Spinelli were talking about
Yeah.
where, you know, the sometimes you start that pre-dinner set and nothing happens. And I think a lot
Or
of
it
that,
happens and then it just kind of quickly fades.
yeah, and I think a lot of that just comes from if people aren't used to that style, like, and that was kind of the biggest thing at the one wedding it flopped on. I was just like, I just think these people want to eat their dinner and then dance.
Yeah.
Like, I just don't think they understand what's happening, and that's literally what happened. They ate,
exactly
and it
what
was
happened.
just like the switch flipped, and it was.
Dude, I'm getting goosebumps again.
Yeah, like,
because that was so, it wasn't odd or strange. It was just unfamiliar.
yeah, but
You
I think
know?
it was because the venue staff were more like, "Oh, you know, play this song or do this," and it's just like, "No, like this is
Yeah, right.
we're the DJs, we got this." But like, I was like, I really just don't think that this crowd understands a
Yeah.
Jersey style.
It was very clear that they were not used to that format.
No.
And it was very clear that we all were very used to the Jersey format, which is dance, eat, dance.
Yes.
And they really wanted another cocktail hour.
Yeah.
It felt like they wanted to chat, they wanted to walk around and drink, they wanted to, you know, use the photo booth, which was there too.
Yep.
So yeah, no, that one was crazy. But a great learning experience.
Yes.
Like that's really what's fun about starting over in a different area, at least for me, with the terrible ADHD that I do have.
Yeah.
Is like new things are like firing and creating new synapses and just exciting my brain in the coolest ways.
Yeah.
You know, I like new, especially early on, you know, so it's fun. And I think one thing, if anything, that I worked on this year was sort of just that, like deeply reading the crowd. And, you know, like then changing my music selection with that, which that wedding was sort of like a touch 'em all it was a cool way. That was our only wedding in November, which is crazy because now November is our biggest month next year already. But yeah, I don't know, it's a freaking fun experience for that one.
I mean, it's definitely been just exciting in general, just watching you grow, I think, just kind of based off of all of what you said. And like, I think coming from doing all the Twitch stuff, I think you learned a lot from doing that, and your music selection has definitely changed, you know, from what it was before, which obviously is good. You want it to change, but
Yeah.
I think
Develop, I think, you know.
I think some people get a little comfortable and don't develop things, you know, as they go through the years. And I think you have definitely created that, you know, where you're always hunting for new music and looking at different things and trying to see different stuff that works. And just even like now us, or I guess me, like mixing now when we open the doors for reception has been like a super cool thing, which, you know, we just started doing that. It was the last wedding that we did for the Mirabellis, but that was like super exciting because now I'm mixing when people walk through the door. So that's super fun to.
The mainline injection of energy,
and it
I
was
swear.
So cool. I'll just never forget that guy because we were on a stage. So then this guy just comes up and he just looks at me and he just goes,
so good.
So it was
So
like
good.
super cool. You know, a little nerve-wracking again, because at that point, like, there were things changing, and I was trying to talk to, like, the sax player, and this guy's down here
Yeah,
trying to talk, and, but it was cool to be able to, like, do that, and people got to walk into, someone DJing
totally.
and stuff. So
Yeah.
if you don't do that, I suggest it,
Uh,
or teach your assistants.
I mean, if nothing else, start with like a doors open mix. That's huge.
Yeah, which I would, was just what
That's
we
what we were
did,
doing. Yeah.
which we, was kind of like a newer thing for us, and I was like, which shouts to demand. I was like, I want to create my own like open door mix, and I want to actually DJ it, because it's like I don't want to just stand here and hit play. Because while Kevin's getting everyone lined up, I'm just kind of, hanging out, waiting for them to come out. And I'm like, well, I don't want to stand here and people think I'm mixing this and I'm not. Like, or I don't want to
Just high
pretend.
pass, low
Yeah,
pass
like
for.
I don't want to pretend like I'm mixing somebody else's mix. So I was like, I want to make my own and I want to DJ it. So, yeah.
Yeah. Now that crate gets copied and pasted in every single wedding crate, which is fun.
I'm excited to like do that more next year and then actually come up with like other sets and stuff.
God, fun. Super fun. I think that kind of touches on everything that we've improved on this year, because that was the next question.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else that you want to add to that?
Actually, one of the ones I had, like a note I had on there, was about you commanding the room, and like I think you have kind of like done very well at that. You were always very good at it, but I think you've gotten even better at it.
Mm.
You're just like really good on the microphone. It's kind of like one of my favorite things to like watch you do is like introductions and stuff, and to see how like people react to you. I always think it's like super fun. So
Yeah, I feel like I've got a lot to work on with that, just with like the tone of my voice, because I tend to get kind of lazy. So like I might, like when I get relaxed, my voice drops down here and I just talk like this. But I really need to just kind of like stay right here and talk right here and just keep this tone. And then I can still show excitement, but I can still kind of like, let's make some noise instead of let's make some noise.
yeah,
Stuart. um uh I don't know. Improved questions. There's nothing else we really need to talk about there, I don't think. Unless you have something what we can improve more on, in addition to what we've already improved on.
I think just we can always improve on. I still want to improve on our like lighting programming and
Yes.
stuff. That's something I still feel like we are learning and stuff. So
And it's so hard to mimic, because when are we ever at the Park Savoy to practice, moving heads? Like,
yeah. So, it's difficult, but I definitely like still want to learn more of the ins and outs of the program, and everything. And that way, like if we want to change things, we can make it, to make our lives easier. But other than that, I mean, I feel like overall we are, I mean, we kind of like already touched on most of the things that I was going to mention. We can always learn more on music. I mean, that's something that's never going to stop. So, I mean,
yeah.
obviously you can learn more on different things
Right.
that you different sets and different, points of the night. Obviously you have some repetitive things that you use, which can always be
Yeah.
improved upon, or
Like if I get into my Latin pocket,
you're gonna
like,
play the 2 or 3 songs, those 3 are gonna be together, So
Yeah,
I think
exactly.
always just learning and coming up with different wordplays and things is
Yeah, that's the goal this year.
because I always
Get more
love
creative.
when I like hear one and I'm like, oh, he's gonna go into this next, and then he doesn't. He goes into something different. I'm like, oh, that was cool.
There's a little bit of obviously DJing for the crowd, but then I try to DJ for you a little bit. It's sort of like if you're at a club, like you want to DJ for the bartenders a little bit as well as the crowd around you, because you just want to keep things fresh. Because if your bartenders are bored of your sets, then eventually everybody else is going to be too. So if you can keep it fresh enough, if I can keep it fresh enough to keep you entertained, then I know that it's going to transfer over. And I might be playing the same songs, but just at least in a different way. And then finding an even better way to do it might pop up. Just because I've done it one way doesn't mean that's the right way.
Yeah.
Cool. I don't know if you have these questions that I have. You've been paying a lot more attention to the DJ community. We've gone to the Collective twice. We've gone to the Expo twice.
Yep.
Right? Okay.
Yep.
We haven't done anything else because we're broke. What are you excited about that's coming out as far as like gear Like what is like, kind of you're like, damn, I really hope Kevin gets that this year, or anything like that.
Um,
Lighting, speakers,
I would
anything.
definitely say, we obviously need to upgrade our ceremony stuff
Yeah.
at some point. Just, but I like the new. Who was showing it to us? Is it they're using the gobo stands as the up like for uplights now, or not uplights for the movers? Is that what they are?
Oh yeah, the gravity stands.
Yes, the gravity stands. Like when you showed me that, I thought that was super cool.
Yeah, because I'm so stuck if that's like truly the future
Yeah.
of what we're doing, or if trust. I personally think that trust is going nowhere because I think that like warming truss when it's skirted is one of the coolest looks you can get.
Yeah.
Whether you keep it flat and flush or if you keep it kind of, this. What's this?
Scrunchy? I don't know.
Scrunchy. Is that it? No, there's like a fucking
I don't know. Oh.
bubbled.
Yes.
Oh, fucking put in the comments the word I'm looking for. So yeah, whether that straight pole is truly the future, or if there's something else new that's coming, or if we're gonna stick with what we already know. Because I just dropped a lot of money on those collapsible trusses, and I don't want to do anything else.
Yeah.
Also, I just think with that stuff, like you need a smaller mover, but movers are getting smaller.
Yeah,
like
smaller and powerful.
Yeah, that's the thing is that generally the size of your moving head transfers over to brightness and then also transfers over to power usage. But as we get smaller, will we be able to fit more in the car? Will we ever need a van or a trailer? Yes, because we want bigger subs.
Yeah.
But that's an interesting point. I was curious what type of lighting you would mention because I don't know if you're into like the tubes. As far as if they are truly the future, and granted, this is our sort of amateur opinion of it, but like, do you think tube lights are sticking around, or are they only cool because not everybody has them yet, or what?
I mean, it's hard again because we haven't used them now.
Right.
Like back to I was doing wedding planning stuff, so I was working with a lot of different DJs when I was doing that. So I would see them come in with their different things. I mean, when they would have the tube lights, like I think that they definitely add an aesthetic that if they weren't there. I definitely think they're cool, but that's definitely a good question on whether it's because a lot of people don't have them, or is it something that somebody sees and they're like, oh, I want those, or I don't
Yeah.
know.
They've obviously become more affordable with the like previously Astera being the only option. The same thing happened with Sparks.
Yeah.
It was like you were sparkular or nothing.
Sparkular.
And then you had to spend all that money on the time cards. And then somebody else came out with it and was like, fuck time cards, just buy the juice, the granular. So with like both lighting really kind of stirring the pot, obviously not having like the same look as the Asteras, but having a little more like usability and affordability, really. So I'm super interested to try those out.
Yeah, I mean, I would love even if we just got like a case of them. Just to use because I like how some people are using them, or they're just like putting them on their speaker stand, just to add, like that, or where some people are just putting on the higher stands, like behind them, just to add like kind of a depth for lighting, which is super cool.
Just to add a cool alternative, like as much as I love having four movers, just like it's like layering, So you have the movers, you've got uplights around the outside that sort of provide that like if you're making a photo, right? The uplights are sort of like the vignette that focuses you to a certain part, and then the Asteras are sort of like the background, whereas then the moving heads are like the main image.
Yeah.
And especially when they all work together, crazy shit can happen.
Yeah.
As someone that we're kind of winding down here a little bit, so you can start to take a breath and roll your shoulders. They're almost off the.
I still have one thing to add to the equipment thing.
Oh, okay, cool. Then shoot.
Another thing is getting something for like a controller of some sort.
You want a sound switch?
Lighting, because I just think it'd be a little more enjoyable to do for me. if I had that instead of just using like the laptop and stuff.
Cool.
I think it'd be more fun. But
A lot of people have commented on the fact that we still use a Mac for that stuff. You
yes.
know, yeah, I've definitely got it. If anybody has any input on any type
Yes.
of lighting controllers versus a laptop, and if you
It's
choose a laptop, a Mac versus like a touchscreen PC or something like that,
yeah, or even like if we like even if we had like a window like the Windows ones that are the touch like even a
yeah,
touch screen would be cooler than just
sure,
clicking, because
right.
we had some issues with our uploads this year at a couple different places.
Oh,
And one of the
that
biggest
was one of
things
them.
that, there was a group of guys there from the beach club.
Yeah, they were hired by
They
us.
were hired by us, but I can't remember who
I
they
can't honestly remember.
but they were fantastic. But like they even mentioned something to us about like they're like if you got a Windows, like you'll see like it'll
It's a
work a lot
quicker
better with
connection.
Show Express than the Apple will.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah.
So
So
right now we use Show Express on a MacBook, and yeah, I mean it's worked well enough for us. But if there's something better as we get bigger,
yeah.
as we get more events, especially this year, as we're like making more that we can reinvest, I'm always down to sort of chin check me. And just because it's comfortable doesn't mean it's right.
Yeah.
So, um, cool. Anything else to add to the equipment before we move on there, Ted?
But that's everything.
All right,
Thanks.
perfect. Well, thanks so much for your input on that. I appreciate it. As someone who's, I guess you've been DJing for like 4 years now, but you're still pretty new to the game.
Yeah.
As far as at least on the like playing outside of things.
More home DJing.
Yeah, bedroom stuff. Yeah. Twitch stuff.
Twitch, yeah.
What advice would you give to somebody starting, to somebody in either role, of like the host or the assistant? Where would you direct them for information? Did you learn from people in a different way, or did you learn a lot like YouTube University or?
I would definitely say so. Obviously, I always had you to ask questions too, but sometimes even that like becomes like you're my biggest criticizer, as I always say. So sometimes it is a little harder to stand in front of the person that you live with and that is a DJ, and
I can be pretty awful.
not even that. It's just like I know that if I messed up, like I'm instantly looking over and I'm like, oh, I know he heard that, and then I just get that like look, and then I'm like, oh crap.
Yeah.
But there are some things like I would just prefer to like try to learn myself or to look out for. So like I, definitely use YouTube a lot. I fell upon a lot of different videos from, sometimes I would search stuff, I end up on Spinelli's videos accidentally, or, I end up on Rick Webb's videos for the lighting one time when I was trying to search
so
stuff.
Funny.
Which is funny because I didn't even realize it was him.
I literally sat down next to you and I was like, we know him.
And I was like, oh wait.
Shouts to Rick Webb.
So it's funny to like also, look for things and then come across and I'm like, oh wait, we know this person.
Yeah.
But definitely used YouTube, just kind of like searching around, just, even to see other DJs' way of making their cue points or what they do, what helps them phrase better, different things like that. And even just Instagram is like another big thing. Like I just like enjoy watching videos when people post them and just like watching how they're DJing. To just kind of be like, oh, like what are they doing with their hands, or like what are they doing? Like, am I not using that, or is that something? Because I think that's a big thing. Like Avera, she has been posting like a lot more. So like I always watch her stuff, and I think I even said to you, I was like, I need to like get better, and that's where I was trying to step away from using the effects, because I was like, I need to get better with using my actual just like mid lows and high knobs. Like I'm not touching them, I'm not doing anything. I'm watching her and she's using them, and I'm like, okay, like I need to like let me try that. And when I started doing that, I loved doing that way more than using the effects to get out of stuff. So just kind of watching that happen and watching what people are doing with their hands, I like a lot. So shouts to those that actually show everything that they're doing, because it does actually help other people. So
there you go.
Yeah.
All right, cool. That's awesome. Who do you think is like someone's opinion that holds a lot of weight for you, like in the DJ world?
So hard because we have so many people people that we like. I would say, like, I always enjoy JSG when he posts anything, just because I love his energy and like he just reminds me a lot like of you as well. Like your guys' energy matches. I feel like you're both very energetic. You guys enjoy being out there and yelling at the
Fucking love
crowd. Like
fucking with
yeah, but
people.
yeah, like you create that. But that's how you create that bond with the guests and the couple. And I think that you kind of have similar junctions when it comes to that. So I think it's cool. Like when he posts stuff, like I love watching his stuff. I love watching Spinelli. I always enjoy getting his information and input on things. And like he had Santi on the other week, so like I definitely I watched that whole video just because I love their role together. So and Jack,
Jack
I feel
Christian.
like I always say your name wrong, Jack. I'm sorry, Christian. Mr. Mustache. I love him, and always love his videos.
Great energy in
Yes.
his videos too.
He's also just an amazing human being, and I can't wait to see you in August.
Yeah, buddy. Jack and I were just talking. We think we might do like I don't know if we're gonna do it on Zoom or something else, but for like February 1st, when Dry January is over, because he's partaking as well in Dry January. Just do like a fucking big Zoom call
that'd
and
be so
have
fun.
everybody minus you, because obviously you're dry for longer than just January.
I can have a mocktail.
Yeah, mocktail. There you go. But yeah, we want to have some cocktails. Fucking throw some back for the boys.
Yeah.
Yeah, we are name dropping.
Yeah. Sorry, I
don't know how else to talk about this, Anybody else you'd like to name drop before we wrap? I have like your favorite DJs, but I don't really want to put it in that context.
Yeah,
because frankly, we love everybody.
I wouldn't. It's hard because to even say a favorite DJ, like I wouldn't even like a lot of the friends that we have that are DJs. I've never actually like heard them DJ.
Yeah.
Like live, or I might have heard some of their mixes they posted or things, but I can't even say like I would never say like, oh, I have a favorite DJ. I would say I genuinely have a lot of DJs that I love based on their personalities and the content they put out and things like that. There's just so many of them to even sit here and think about all of them right now.
Yeah, you don't. I don't even want to put us in that.
After being at the collective and getting to go to the expos and stuff, and getting to create friendships and knowing all these people like all over, it's just been like amazing. And I just appreciate everybody like letting me join in.
Yeah.
Sometimes I've created more friendships with them than you have. Like we're so
totally.
It's like super cool, like that we get to do that.
I, by nature, and I know you are too, I'm very introverted. Like this, doing the video and stuff is helping me come back out. I feel like COVID really knocked me back down a ton. So having you as not a crutch, but like an assist to getting myself back out there. More like I know that you aren't as keen to like jump into a random conversation unless I'm there. And then I try and do it so that we do have more people to talk to. Yeah. So I appreciate that. I appreciate your perspectives because I don't know what I don't know, and then you are the first one to tell me, like, hey, just take a breath. Like, we don't need to worry about that right now.
Breath, or hey, this song isn't working anymore, don't play it anymore.
Right. Yeah.
which is probably something too we should like work. That would be a good working on thing, is like if I like am really noticing something that I think I'm like every time you're about to do it and I'm like kind of cringing on the side, I'm like, maybe I should like say something like,
freaking
hey,
higher love,
like, is this like a thing we should be doing anymore? Because like I'm getting like cringy when it happens.
Can you think of an example right now?
I don't know why. Thrift shop. Every time you play that, I always like panic inside because I'm like, I don't know if it's just because of the lyrics. Like sometimes when you go to play that and I'm thinking like, oh, there's an older crowd here. I'm like, oh my God, like this is not going to, like, I'm like almost internally like, what's gonna happen?
Yeah, I know.
I would say that's probably the biggest one. Lizzo though, now. Like,
Lizzo's big flop.
Yeah, big flop anymore. Like, I just feel like every time you've tried, like,
yeah, because I do that Staying Alive mix with it using stems. It's like, pretty fun.
Sometimes it'll work, but then other times it doesn't. I don't know.
It's got to be like a pretty young crowd, and it has to be a little more rural. you know.
But overall, like, I mean, I'm excited. I'm actually gonna like attend classes and stuff at the expo this
Yeah,
year.
Teddy bought a
So
pass.
I'm like,
I didn't.
they were on sale.
Did you buy me one? Okay, good.
I mean, I got you your free one.
Right, sure,
But,
of course.
you know, I mean, I have never, you know, I've gone to these conferences. I've never actually like attended them. You know, I've just been there. So I just want to actually start like learning myself because I think that's going to help me be a little more confident actually sitting in these classes with other people and getting to, you know, if you're not there, then I'm going to have to talk to other people without you and, you know, maybe get to meet more like female DJs because I feel like that's the one thing I haven't really gotten to like meet a whole lot of female DJs. Like, you know, like I have hung around like Jamie and Jamie Perez and Avera. I've hung around her. But really, other than that, I'm trying to think. I feel like
You met Jess.
I've
from
met
Pittsburgh.
Jess, but I've never really have gotten to like speak to her. We've
Right.
like at the collective. There's always
Gina.
so much going on that.
We were buddies with Gina.
Yes, Gina. Oh my god, I love Gina.
Yeah.
Gina and Jason, they were great.
Yeah, they're fun.
I can't wait to see them in August. I'm like so excited for August just because we had the best like group to hang out with. So
yeah.
If you guys are bored, always meet us at the
Lobby bar.
Lobby bar. That's where we're always at.
I'll be posted up losing money to computer blackjack.
We need to do the Sacagawea thing again with Fuse.
Yeah, the Drew and Fuse Sacagawea gang.
That was amazing. It
was fun. I think
She still have. I was gonna say we definitely like had a lot of them. But yeah.
Still got my sack of Joeyas. Yeah, check those babies out. All right. Well, I love to chat with you. I can continue to, but as far as this video, do you have anything, as I like to say, for the good of the order?
For the good of the order.
Any final notes?
I mean, I guess like a question for you, like what do you think like the hardest thing about us working together, like as teammates?
I think the hardest thing about us working together is, and I don't mean to like try and guilt you by any means, but it's when you don't come with me. Because like the 3 hours of sitting alone in a car, just my face just melts.
Yeah.
And especially like New Year's Eve, I was just like not hyped for it.
Yeah.
To start. Like it built up, and that video will actually have dropped on Monday of this week. So like it turned exciting, but I didn't know what to expect. It was a new place. Like loading was actually super easy because they gave me a big cart, so that I wasn't worried about, but it's just hard. And I just like some people just have this image of DJs and very rarely do they picture them like married or engaged for some reason. And it's sort of, just like, I just want to be left the fuck alone most of the time. Just let me vibe out,
Yeah.
Let me read your vibe and, add to it. But it's really nice to have like companionship through it all. So that's definitely a great takeaway in addition to having you as an awesome assistant.
I mean, I think it's just nice because as an assistant, you get, when you have a consistent assistant, you get to learn each other. And we've had times where you're on the other side of a wall and I have to do introductions basically blind, but it's like, I learn the way that you have talked and what you're going to do, and I know, and I can just hear it and do it. Whereas if, there was somebody else there, randomly that day, it could be a little harder. And then, you don't know how they're going to react if something goes wrong or so.
I think the same can be said about if it's me and then like a random assistant.
Yeah.
Like even if it's some of the best trained people that run their own weddings.
Yeah.
That I say, and now we have the VIPs, that are maid of honor and best man are walking in or whomever. And then obviously we're going straight into, and then we do our little thing.
We have our hand cues and our things
we
that we
got
do.
So many non-verbal cues, but additionally verbal cues.
Yes.
And now, right? Next thing's happening. Yeah. Which I think transfers very well into just like an MC's use of their voice. Because if you understand what's happening next without seeing me, then it'll probably transfer to them too. And they're like, oh, next step.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But I would Advice wise, like for just all DJs and anyone, I would just say, as being just an assistant, kind of watching on the outside and getting to be a part of Twitch and doing the wedding planning side and working with multiple DJs, that are not within any of the companies that I've worked for. Don't ever downplay what you're doing and always try to educate yourself and learn more and want to be better, because I can't tell you how many times I, as a wedding planner, have been there, gone over timelines or things, and people know that, we're engaged, or they know that, I help you with weddings for SDE, and, they immediately will be like, well, that I don't do what those guys do, or I don't, I'm not that, I can't do what the mixing like they do. And I just kind of look at them and I'm like, well, then if you're telling me you can't, then why don't you learn
You
it?
could.
Like, you could.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
You
I
you
used to say,
can. You don't.
yeah, so
The real verbiage is you don't do it. You
yeah.
can do it.
So don't tell yourself you can't do what those guys do. They're just doing their jobs and they're learning, and
Yeah, it feels really I
like
think that's one of the most frustrating things about this industry is that people will not do something and they will talk shit about people that work harder.
yeah.
Like people expect DJs to just like all DJs to just kind of phone it in.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think that that's like one of the biggest things that I picked up on doing the wedding planning side of things. And I think that's one of the, things that has helped, like when I am working with you, to always make sure, I'm checking in on things, but to also make sure we are, doing what we need to do correctly and showing that in a professional manner. Cause I've just seen so many things not happen in professional manners, or, unfortunately, there are still those people out there DJing with, not the greatest equipment and things like that. So but to hear someone like say to me, oh, well, I can't do what those guys do, so don't expect that. It's like, I mean, but you could do that. You're just choosing not to. And
Mm-hmm.
in my opinion, why are you not? Like, are
Yeah.
you that comfortable in what you're doing? Like, you don't want to be any better? And I just don't feel like you can ever stop learning
So
to
comfortable
DJ.
mixing 24 karat magic into Ice
Yeah.
Ice Baby that you
Like,
just never want to
like
learn
you
anything
can
else.
always be better, and DJing, in my opinion, is something you can never stop learning. I mean, there's always new things that are going to be coming out. There's no reason that you should, I mean, there's no reason you shouldn't know how to beat match music and mix your music together properly. If you're saying that you can't do that, then you really should work on that. But that's
It's a
just
hot
coming
topic right
from
now.
me.
It's a hot topic right now.
But
Yeah. The quality of your gear and mixing, like
yeah.
beat matching, are both
Yes.
very hot, which is fucking crazy.
Let me
That's
tell
a hot
you,
topic.
being at a wedding that there's no beat matching going on
Whoa,
is,
whoa, whoa.
especially from somebody that is listening for it. Woo.
Yeah.
It's a rough night.
Yeah. Tighten your shit up.
Yes.
That's it. That's it. All right, Teddy. Well, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. This is
For
fun.
interviewing
Yeah. I'm happy to chop it up. I feel like we talk about this stuff a lot, but we never really got a chance to put it on.
me. Yeah, we'll do like one like every 6 months or something. Just like a check in on our events and
Yeah, we're gonna get to doing live stuff eventually.
yeah.
We're gonna I mentioned in my last video that we gig logging a decent amount this year, but we're gonna kind of like hand select them a little bit better.
Okay.
Um, just because I think that's crucial. Start putting out a little more short form content just to get those eyeballs. And yeah, I don't know, just coming out with different stuff. That's it. Keeping this channel fresh, not just gig log Monday, talking head Thursday.
I mean, I'm obviously new at kind of like using the Lumix and taking, videos and stuff. So honestly, all of Kevin's videos pretty much are done, recorded by me. So like,
Oh
if
yeah.
anybody has any suggestions on things I could be doing differently or getting,
I don't want that advice from DJs. Don't say anything about video. Y'all don't know shit.
Totally open for it.
We have filmmaker friends.
No, but I mean, like, I'm still learning, like, oh, is this a point where I should jump into the dance floor? Like, is that okay? Is that not okay? Because it's hard sometimes too when they have videographers there, especially when they have like 3 videographers there. The last thing I want to do is be in the background of anybody's videos or photos. So like, there are points where like sometimes I'm like, what should I be doing or what should I be capturing at
Ooh,
this
I
point.
want to interview
So
a wedding videographer now and talk to them about that.
that would be
That'd be
cool.
super fun.
That would be super fun just because like sometimes I get that in my head when I see like a lot of videographers. I kind of like back off on just moving like from where we are because obviously if I stay where we are, they know that they're shooting at us. So, that's kind of,
Right.
but once I start kind of getting in their space, if I am on the dance floor and I'm like trying to get out of their way, like I just don't want them to be upset that, I'm out there. So, it's just
Sure.
my thought.
Good point. Good point. All right. Well, let's actually wrap this up now.
Okay.
Thanks everybody for being here. Appreciate my guest, Miss Teddi Jo Price.
Oh gosh, I feel like I'm in trouble.
Uh,
Maybe Teddy Joe Garrity.
Soon.
Maybe.
Like that. Thanks everybody for checking this one out. If you really liked it, if you liked having Teddy on, maybe we'll make it a regular thing. It all depends on what you like, what you comment, and what you say. So, as always, appreciate you being here. See you next time.